What now? Oh? What is it?
I can't say I particularly like wars. Yet another war of succession. At least things didn't get boring while I was gone. When I was locked away, Cyrodiil wasn't even the seat of an empire. And Skyrim... Sometimes it's hard to even fathom how much this world has changed. And what was it? The Oblivion Crisis? I would have never expected the Daedra to invade Tamriel again. I certainly hope Molag Bal doesn't host another plane meld. That would be... dreadful. Thanks. But honestly, I don't think any Daedra would consider invading ever again. They got their hides tanned. Turns out a bunch of Nawaz shouldn't be underestimated. It's a term the Dunmer used to describe mortals. It has a negative connotation, but, well, that's kind of the point of what I was saying. And yes, I've heard stories about the last Septim turning into a dragon to fight Mehrunes Dagon, but Martin Septim couldn't have done it alone. I got reacquainted with the current world as soon as I got back to the castle. Well, at least I know the basics. Not that much, but still. Well, most of the people in your little crew aren't my type, just as I'm probably not theirs. I've heard that a few of their inner circle are werewolves. And my father's views did not exactly win us any friends among Hircine's brood. Thanks. Glad to know you have my back. I've told you this before. Back before I was, you know, trapped in a coffin for who knows how long. The College of Winterhold used to be my first choice whenever I needed guidance in the arcane arts, a historic reference, or a particularly obscure alchemical manual. Unlike a lot of guilds, this one is actually pretty ancient, as old as I am, if not older. It and Winterhold are in a sorry state right now, though, which wasn't the case before. Did you know that Winterhold used to be a much bigger, bustling city? It's alright. I can't really expect you to know, because you certainly weren't around back then. And I was also quite the bookworm. I mean, there's nothing better to do when you grow up like I did. Winterhold used to be the capital of Skyrim. For centuries, it has rivaled the most prosperous cities of Skyrim. Early in the First Era, the First Empire of the Nord spanned from Skyrim to Nibelheim Valley. Its last monarch, High King Borgus, came from Winterhold. The circumstances of his death are uncertain, but it did coincide with the Wild Hunt. Alright, I didn't know you knew that. Winterhold then saw even more disputes and conflict, but the city always came out on top. Then, I wake up a few centuries later to find out that everything is just... gone. Well, I don't know much. Most of my knowledge of Tamriel came from books, and back then, I guess the Thieves Guild wasn't particularly relevant, or they didn't even exist. Anyway, they just seem like a shady bunch of scoundrels to me. Professionals or not, stealing is stealing. Why glorify it? Although, if you ask me, stealing from the rich isn't as bad. Actually, maybe it is, because then you become just like them? Now, that might be a bit too much. Sometimes, moral codes aren't just black and white. The moment I met you, I could sense some kind of power. Unique and unlike anything I've seen before. Turns out you have the blood of gods coursing through your veins. You should also know that I do not appreciate being shouted at. You probably don't feel it, but just try not to hit me the next time we get into a fight with some
Easier to put on.
okay? I definitely wouldn't want to be hurled halfway across the continent of Tamriel. Are you even taking this seriously? I also wouldn't like to accidentally drain you to a pulp. Good. Glad we sorted that one out. They're a murderous cult. I don't know how to put it any other way. And again, as with all cults, Daedric or not, it certainly has its appeal for some. I'm kind of surprised my father didn't invite them over for an evening meal. Well, thinking about it, they either weren't around back then, or they weren't exactly a big deal. I'm also aware Sithis isn't necessarily a Daedra, but he may as well be thought of as such. Debauchery, murder, death, chaos. Those definitely sound like Daedric things to me. Though, if you do want to seek them out, I won't stop you. But it really depends on whether this Daedric stuff fits your fancy. I can see why you'd feel that way. Come on, we've got other adventures waiting for us anyway.
Do you need something? All right.
Not much, because there isn't really anything to do when you live on an island. And yes, on rare occasions I did travel to Skyrim with my father, on business. By which I mean intimidation, scheming, bribery, blackmail, an execution or two. You know, your typical chores of a Volkihar patriarch. And he did teach me some of those skills, if you could put it that way. But I didn't really do anything fun for the most part. I definitely didn't have a normal childhood. I guess that's what you get for being a follower of Monarch Ball. Though, besides the typical gardening and reading, I also did sing quite a bit. I wasn't nearly good enough to join the Bard's College, but I was pretty decent at it, and it made me feel less lonely. Tell you what, give me some time to warm up a bit on the side, and maybe I'll sing something for you.
Do you need something?
One of these days,
All right.
I really have to get something that's more comfortable to wear and easier to put on.
I have actually. I call it Old Stone Walls. It's relatively new. I haven't worked out the tune of it completely, but it just sort of came to me a few nights back. It's about, well, just listen. You'll see. Old stone wall, towering over the sea, but a candle light, high up shining brightly, all alone, sitting in the bay window, tear-stained eyes, and the waves crash below. Old stone walls, deep down the dark, long lost hopes and secrets sealing my heart. But then you were there, reaching out your hand, and for just a moment I was brought to life again. Old stone walls, I've seen so many now. Tales and stories, and the joy of being dragged around. Your smile so bright, I could go blind. But that's okay if you stay by my side. Cold, dripping leather, the smell of rain. You fast asleep as I study your face. Old stone walls, they don't hold me anymore. I'm happy where I am in the gray.